But like I said, at the same time, we have 6 top 20 picks in the last 3 years. We need to we should be falling into 30 wins.
Welcome to Dell and Pinky Podcast. Really just a Pistons preview, the season preview, going into the first game here on Wednesday night at Detroit.
Yeah, we'll talk about the other games as well a little bit and a couple other little things throughout the show, but yeah, mainly a preview.
Yeah, like what has happened over the course of the preseason? Should we react or should we overreact? You know, I don't want to overreact by any stretch, but I mean, you can't help but to do such things. You got to keep yourself grounded in a lot of cases.
Well, the thing is it was everybody else's preseason as well. Right. And we got dog walked. In all the games, we got dog walked.
I tried to make the argument about, like, don't overreact for preseason, you know, with teams that lose like us. And you said, well, other teams, what about them? Do they overreact when they're doing well? Like, and that's a good point. Like, had the Pistons played really well in preseason, we probably would be looking upon this a little differently, considering we didn't really play like heavyweight teams.
Well, no, and just some of the sheer numbers that were just eye-popping in these losses, you know, like points in the paint and trying to defend the three-pointer, the obnoxious amount of three-pointers taken by our team when we're not a shooting team.
Right.
It's absurd.
Well, that's, like I said, that's one of those things that could possibly have been like Memphis's game plan was to push us out there because a lot of our points come from the paint. And maybe when, you know, in those moments. So, like, and Memphis was the clear best team we played. So,
yeah.
But the shooting woes, I mean, those are the same shooting woes we had last year. I mean, are we surprised? No,
but we are. I mean, we can't really be surprised about this, that Casey isn't switching up his mentality on how he plays his guys. You know,
right.
This is a total scheme thing. He's not taking advantage of where they have their strengths. Like, for example, last year we were really good in the fast break and you know, pushing the ball up. And so far, this preseason is non-existent. They didn't improve on their strength. They were good at guarding the three-point line last year, which they're not very good at this preseason at all. And I think it's basically because of the fact we have no interior defense because we're just getting destroyed in the paint. It's forcing our perimeter defenders to sag to account for that because they don't want them getting into the lane, which also helps the opposing team's three-point shooting percentage because we're playing off them. And it doesn't matter. You might as well just play up on them, not give up the three-point ball if you're already giving up 70 points in the damn paint.
Well, our interior defense is probably still based off the fact that we are young. You know, we don't have a lot of veterans on the team that help. And then, honestly, like, at the end of the day, we know that it takes a while for these players to develop, like, a defensive acumen as far as team defense goes, especially if you're, you know, not up to size. And, you know, a lot of these players are oversized. Outside of Stewart.
And I think a lot of it's the scheme, too, is because we're switching on everything. We're switching everything.
Right.
Like, you don't have to switch everything.
You don't have to switch everything.
But,
I mean, that was just one game where they attacked the switch. I mean, we can get better at that the more people attack it. And then might be that, and then that might be our strength. So I'm not saying
maybe we're hoping.
Right. In this, like, positionless basketball that we're moving towards, you know, it seems like, you know, we're on our way to that same exact spot, except for, you know, does Cade if he doesn't start shooting the ball well, like, is it a smart move to move him to the three? Like, is that a conversation that we should have?
I think he would probably shoot the ball better being at the three, with Killian starting at the point position. With how Killian's been playing, I mean, granted, it's been against a lot of second units and a little bit weaker teams, but Ja had his way last night. It didn't matter who was on him. Killian didn't even play last night anyways.
I'm not going to overreact about that.
Yeah,
Ja's just going to do his.
Ja. You know, he's going to do whatever he wants. But no, I think Cade at the three would probably be far better at playmaking three rather than being the dominant ball handler and play initiator every single time down the court.
Right. Well, he could still be a play initiator.
Right. If you put Killian on the floor, now you have three playmakers because Jaden has proven that he's good. He's good at facilitating. Also, the way Jaden gets to the hoop, on a lot of these plays, it's very, very comforting to think he's going to be able to do that the more and more experience he gets.
The problem I have with Jaden Ivey and Killian starting next to each other is they both sort of have the same shooting problem, and it doesn't solve our shooting problem by moving Cade to the three. So I'm going to go ahead and pass on moving Cade to the three at this point because I love the energy that Killian brings off the bench, and like we can play him as many minutes as we want. We've seen a lot of these sixth men get 28 to 32 minutes a game. Like that's enough in some cases.
Yeah, for sure.
Or
but
even 36 minutes a game.
Moving Killian to the starting position, point guard. you're going to have to change the scheme on how we play the game. We can't be jacking up 40 plus, 42 the first game, 49 the next game, 38 or something, which we shot the best when we had the fewest amount of three-point shots, and then 52 last night.
Right.
We can't be taking that many three-point shots.
I'm not really sure what the league average is at
It's
this
not
point.
that.
I was going to say,
I think we outshot every team.
Sadiq, I mean, if Sadiq makes his shots, we look a little bit better because he's supposed to make his shots.
Well, yeah, and Bojan, I don't expect Bojan to go 1 for 4 or 1 for 5 or whatever he went last night.
So speaking of Killian, well, he's played well in preseason. I mean,
Yeah.
it doesn't take a genius to find that, but he's playing versus a lot of these second units, and he's not getting everybody's best. Let's be honest, but I mean, he's attacking and he looks
Right.
confident, which is we've always pointed out that's one of the main things he lacks is his confidence, and you could see it. But he's looking like he's growing up and he's learning, how to just attack in his own way.
Last game, man, against the Thunder, when he was actually playing nice. I mean, you could see it even in his dribbling, like the confidence there, and like it's there, man. It's great to see him attacking, And granted, like you said, he's playing against those second units, but it's not the fact that he's actually playing well against the second units. It's the fact that he is attacking. He has a different mindset. He's not afraid to pull the trigger on the shot, and his shots looks pretty decent in this preseason.
Right.
So
I mean, we watched him make a couple of shots, like hands in his face, catch and shoot.
yeah, that one in the
Falling
corner
away,
against the
yeah.
Thunder, where he got the ball. I can't remember who passed it to him, but man, he shot right over the defender, no problem.
I'm sure he's been
Steady
working
stroke,
on that,
didn't
yeah.
even think about it, and beautiful. It's true, And I think
Seeing that confidence is everything.
yeah. So
has he
I'm
played?
pretty excited about.
Has he
Killian.
played well enough to like hush the doubters? Because nobody has more doubters than Killian Hayes living in Detroit.
No. Being that number 7 pick, you're getting all the scrutiny. that
Okay, well, let
comes
me
with it.
rephrase it. Enough to hush the doubters for now. Can those guys be quiet for a little bit? Has he given them enough reason to at least say, hey, okay, let's see how he handles the first 3 weeks of the season?
Yeah, it should put a cap on them being blatant haters. I mean, you still question everything and still have doubts, for sure.
And question part 2 of that question is, does he need to play well in game 1 to solidify that portion? Because if he comes out and lays an egg or just looks bad and not confident in game 1 versus Orlando, then it's going to take all of this, all of these doubters that are hush hush for now and be like, listen, look, the first game of the season, when it meant something he couldn't deliver. So I think maybe there's a part of that where he has to come out and play his game and be successful at it. And I'll just drop a stat line. He's got to have, shoot over 50%, and he's got to have more than 10 points. He's got to have more than 4 assists, and a couple of steals. He's got to look like he can do everything.
All that's totally achievable. Maybe not the 50% shooting,
Well,
but I'll take in the 40s. You know what I'm saying? Anywhere in the
Like
40s.
a 4
If
for
Killian
7.
is good.
Like a 4 for 7.
Yeah, whatever. Whatever he does. I just want to see Killian still play his game with the same attacking mentality he's had in the preseason. Because Killian games is going to be Killian's game. I mean, he did get burned. Like, he regressed a little bit defensively in the preseason that I saw, but I think that's just contributing to the fact that he's trying harder on offense and trying to be more assertive.
Of course. There's always a trade-off there when you're doing that.
Yep. So I'm not worried about his defense at all. I still think when it comes time where he has to do one thing or the other, he's going to be able to do it.
Well, there's really no telling. He's going to have to play more minutes. He's going to have to keep,
They're going to give him minutes.
Yeah, I was going to say, we're going to have to keep doing, what we have been doing.
Mm-hmm.
So, if it takes year 5 and, he still hasn't proven shit, then, then you are what you are. You're a defensive guy, and you're probably only going to make 11 to 12 million in a year.
Right.
Which,
you'll still have a job. But
yeah, I was going to say.
Maybe not with us, but you'll have a job. You're going to be trade bait.
And at this point, I think that it becomes, is he trade bait, or can we keep him in that defensive role? Because I think we can keep him in that defensive role.
Yeah, I wouldn't be sad either way.
People have to give up eventually, and they will give up on he's going to be some sort of focal point of the offense. Because, we can list 5 players, or at least 3 I know, with Ivy, Cade, and Sadiq that are better offensive players than him. Mm-hmm. Why are we so hung up on making him a better offensive player?
I don't know, and I don't really understand it. For example, we can just go back a couple years where we all loved Bruce Brown. We loved him. Same player,
still do.
Same damn player as Killian. Difference, taken in the second round.
Correct.
So he was an afterthought.
Right.
So
Killian has more upside.
Yeah, absolutely. Oh my God.
And that's why he's went 7. He just and he's delivered on some of that upside, but not Not consistently.
Yeah, it's just the scoring that we always have issues with. I mean, not necessarily us, but like other people.
And it's really the big difference between Killian and Bruce Brown is confidence.
Yeah.
Bruce Brown came in.
Yeah, Bruce Brown is a confident dude.
He's a confident dude.
Yeah, he's an alpha. That's for sure.
Yeah, and they're like the same size guy.
Yeah, they're basically the same damn player. I think Killian's a better ball handler and passer, though.
Absolutely.
You know,
maybe even better defensively.
Yeah, maybe. I mean, Bruce Brown's a dog.
So, a lot of heat coming Dwayne Casey's way. We've defended him in the past, calling him a developmental coach, and should we get rid of him? Should we keep him? I think it's always been understood that eventually he would be let go or move to the front office. Probably move to the front office, because my primary concern with Weaver at this point, because he's proven to be a genius in all other situations, is how are you going to handle this team when it's time to let go of Dwayne Casey? Because I know they have developed a great relationship, and Weaver is a class act. But it seems to me...
so is Casey.
And so is Casey. And he's revered around the league. He won Coach of the Year and then got fired.
Right.
So this is like his redemption shot, but I think maybe he's a guy who knows his role.
Well, I think the game's passed him by.
Yeah. Well, I mean, at his age, I think that the move to the front office is the most, feasible. It's the most logical.
I don't like Casey as the coach.
But is he going to help pick out the new coach? Is that what?
I mean, sure. I think he has a rational brain for that. Absolutely. And
is it after the season? Is that when this happens?
I don't know. I mean,
let's live in a world where you do know.
The guy's had under 30 wins ever since he's been here. Granted, a flipped roster. But, man, we haven't seen any improvement, and we've had 6 first-round picks in the last 3 years. We saw no improvement.
What if we hit exactly 30 wins this year? In my opinion, you hit 30 wins, even you hit 35 wins. No matter how many wins you hit, you get rid of Casey. Because, and this is my point, is
I agree.
Either A, he is developing them, and it's time for that next step coach, or B, he's not developing them, and it's time for a different coach to try something something different that shakes it up a little bit. I don't know what somebody's going to have to do, whether it's try to bring in a different player and trade away players, but either way, I mean, I just think Dwayne Casey has a role this year still, but it is his last year regardless of what happens.
Yeah, I would like it to be Casey's last year. I think they only gave him a 1-year contract, right?
That makes sense. It's probably one by one, yeah. Where's the team at? Reassess.
So yeah, I'm fully on board with moving Casey after this year.
Yeah, and I would love to hear,
regardless of what happens.
I would love to hear people talk about it, because at the end of the day, he is their current coach, and we're gonna have to watch this team all year. So you can hate him, and blame him, but nobody really expected more than 30 wins. Whenever they come, however they come. Like the Lions right now are 1-4 or whatever, and we could rip off 4 wins in a row. And get us to that better mark that we all thought we could be. Or we're just going to continue down this path. So who knows when it comes?
Pistons are not doing that. I don't think. Right. I don't see that happening.
Well, we're not going to fire Dan Campbell in the middle of the season also.
Well, no, I don't think so.
So, I mean, we're stuck with these guys, and we can blame them all we want, but, wouldn't it be better if we just kind of, the same approach we took to the Tigers last year and the Pistons in year 1 with Sadiq and Isaiah Stewart and Killian, which is this team's going to lose a lot, but we're going to watch a lot of good development. This is still Ivy Endurance first year. Yeah, and they're the ones that we're counting on to be to bring this team to fruition.
Right, they're supposed to be the last pieces.
So exactly. So why don't we give them a year also? I don't see the hurry.
Yeah, as far as the team goes, I'm totally fine with that. I mean, we slow roll this son of a bitch. You know what I mean? And I'll wait 3 years before we're contenders or even making noise or whatever. It's not the team I have a problem with, because I see all the ceiling. You know what I mean? We're slow. We're slow with our first steps and defensive speed wise. We're a little slow.
Right.
So we got to speed that up or just get better with our schemes. It falls on coaching. And this is what it is with Casey. I think he's just not a good in-game coach. He's not really an X and O's guy, in my opinion. He doesn't identify problems. He doesn't adjust.
Well, I disagree with you there. He does identify problems. I just don't think that there's enough noticeable progress cleaning up those problems to suggest that he's doing a good job at it. But I hear him.
I guess I can agree with that.
I mean, I hear him talk about it all the time. When I agree with him, I'm like, yeah, that's what you didn't do. But then I also see him make that exact same mistake 7 games later, 14, 21 games later, and I'm like, okay, there's no progress on this end of it. And I look at our team and I see that there's plenty of people to instill that progress if, X, Y, and Z could happen.
Right.
Which kind of brings me to a question I had. Okay, so, I wanted to do this, thing where we compare certain players on the team, like within their position and their expectations. I'm not comparing Ivy and Duren, who's going to be the better rookie.
Yeah.
But the first one would be like, if you were a coach, who would you give more minutes to? Isaiah Livers or Hamidou Diallo, and why?
Isaiah Livers.
Isaiah Livers, second-year player, 24 years old.
Correct. He's more flexible on defense. He can he shoots the three well. He plays good team offense. With Hamidou, it's more of a he's super athletic and raw. He makes a lot of defensive mistakes, where he has a lot of ability to be a really good defender, but he's just still a little out of it too, as far as experience goes. Also, staying healthy. Hamidou has a hard time staying healthy. There's kind of always an issue, and his shot is not consistent. Granted, he can be a bucket at any given time, and I like him coming off our bench. I like him as a Piston. I just see more value in Isaiah Livers.
I mean, you say all that, and Isaiah Livers is also hurt at the moment.
Oh, well, he is, but he has a track record of being healthy all the way through college, everything. You know what I mean?
And I agree with
that.
that.
And I've been saying since I've seen him in college, you can attest to this, that he's an NBA player. You know,
Absolutely.
I've been saying it since I've seen him in college.
And we're his team.
Right.
You know, I don't know what his relationship with Dwayne Casey is, or, you know, what his expectations are, you know, with the coaching staff going forward. Like, I don't know what your role is. Are you backup shooting guard? Is he backup small forward? Because if Livers is backup small forward, then that kind of limits him. So that's why I asked that question. And also, Livers coming in as a second-round pick, it makes decisions harder for other players. You know, like, hey, we were expecting this out of this guy, and we didn't get it. But we're expecting this out of this guy, and we got more than that.
Right. Well, we didn't draft Hamidou, so Hamidou can also come off the bench, play the two. He can play with Livers. Not a big deal.
Well, just like Killian, it doesn't matter. We wish we could erase the 7th pick overall expectation factor of it. So,
right. If we could take away the number 7 next to Killian, not just his jersey number, but the number 7 where he is picked, we would have a totally different view on Killian.
Right. So applying that same logic to Hamidou and Livers, like, why would we expect them to live up to something outside of the fact of, you know, hey, what do you bring to the team? You know, and Isaiah Livers brings
more
size.
Mm-hmm. He brings a little bit more. I mean,
availability.
Right. Like I said, I like Hamidou, man. Like, I don't have a problem with him at all.
But you're giving more minutes to Livers.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think Diallo doesn't even get enough minutes to begin with. I mean, the only reason why I got minutes last year is because of injuries.
Agreed, 100%.
You know, I mean, he should get far more burn. He should be getting burned before Corey Joseph does. Well, I promise you that.
And when you put him on the fly, oh yeah, I couldn't agree more. Corey Joseph, man, that guy, he makes so many errant throws, and like it almost feels like you don't understand.
Yeah, his ball handling and shooting doesn't make up for his other deficiencies.
But like you were talking about, we're slow out there. Like you bring out Hamidou and Ivy at the same time in any situation, and you cure that problem for at least 5 minutes.
Those guys, it's a track meet down the court.
Yeah,
with those two guys.
But I think that's another token of our, you know, our depth and the way we can switch off. I just don't know if Casey has the guts to, like, arrange lineups to, like, because dude, we live in a different world now, man.
You have to have different schemes for different players that are out there.
Yeah, you run the team.
You have to.
At this point, you're not a we're going to stick with this guy kind of guy. If you're going to be a developmental coach, then you have to find out which guys are going with what. I mean, you have to recognize that, you know, chemistry within players sometimes comes in the weirdest ways.
Yeah.
Could come with two guys that love each other or two guys that hate each other. All right, so the next one, who do you have at the starting 4? Forget about Bagley being hurt. Or I'm sorry, with Bagley being hurt, is it Stewart or Bogdanovich? Who's the starting 4?
I like Stewart at the 4. You got to start Duren at the center.
And that was the next question.
Nerlens behind Duren.
Duren versus everyone else for the starting 5. So you're starting Duren and Stewart with Bagley out. But with Bagley in, you're starting Bagley.
Yep.
And then I guess the next one would be with Cade and Bay. Who is your first scoring option? This year.
It depends what's going to happen. I mean, is Cade going to be playing point guard most of the time?
Yes.
If Cade's playing point guard most of the time, Sadiq Bey is going to be our leading scorer again. Him or Jaden Ivey. One of the two. Maybe even Bogdan. Or not Bogdan. Bojan. Sorry. All those Bogdanoviches.
Yeah, I was going to say. Well, at least Bojan's name isn't the same as his last name.
Right. Yeah, that's kind of funny to me. But I think Cade can be a great scoring option, and he gets to his places where he wants to on the court. But he's going to be the one initiating the offense.
I guess there's a question that all of this goes into. I just wanted to kind of predicate the question. Is Cade's first half past first like tentative style of play. Like how we watched him do it in Oklahoma State.
Right.
And we identified it then. And we thought it was a great idea because we knew that he recognized that in order for his team to win, he was going to have to get them involved. He figured out in college early on what Michael Jordan didn't realize till Phil Jackson came around.
Right.
So, but is that actually going to hurt him, like in his own offensive abilities?
Well, similarly speaking, when we watched him at Oklahoma State, we recognized that he did that, but we also recognized he didn't have the players around him to utilize that skill.
But now that he does, it seems that tentative style pass
But
first.
he still doesn't. We're one of the worst teams at shooting the ball. Mm-hmm. We still don't. He's just moved to the next level with the same team.
In a lot of cases, these guys get their rhythm by shooting in the first half. You get your rhythm going, and then by the second half, you're into it. But if his whole thing in the first half is pass, then he's not really developing that rhythm. So I don't know. I guess it's concerned me a little bit in certain situations that it warranted the question. So if Sadiq is our number one, then I guess who is the number 2 and number 3 option?
It'd be Jaden and.
So you think Ivy in his rookie year is going to be the number 2 option on the team?
Well, it's going to be split between him and Cade. I think Sadiq's going to be. We're going to try to force feed him the ball and get him scoring. I think that's going to be the name of the game this year.
And obviously, we recognize that it's going to be probably a different person leading the scoring every night, almost.
Yeah, I think, like I said,
there.
Cade playing the position he's playing, which is the point guard, which we view as the point guard. He's going to be force feeding Sadiq and Jaden.
Right, Killian doing the same thing when he's out there.
Right, so that could put Cade at the third scoring option, or whenever he wants to get his. That's
at the end,
what it is.
I think Sadiq is the number 1 option, regardless, because
he needs to play better and more consistently.
Because he's the only one out of all the guys we just named that doesn't really pass the ball.
Yeah, and he doesn't.
He doesn't. So with Cade, Killian, and Ivy looking for other players all 3 of those guys have a point guard in them, but they also have a shooting guard in them. Mm-hmm. Cade's
Absolutely.
the only one that also has a small forward in him.
Right. That's why it makes sense to move Cade to the 3, and just go ahead and start Killian.
Well,
and then you move Sadiq at the 4. Screw it. Just let him get abused.
Well, like Durant, in any given game, he's probably played 3 or 4 positions, and I think that at the end of the day, that's what Cade will do every single game. Keeping him out there should be the goal.
KD's 6'11", though.
Yeah, right. No, I'm just saying, like, he's oversized for his position and what he can do. So you can play, you find different roles on the team for him in certain situations to keep him on the floor.
Right. It all comes back to Casey. Can he identify and do that?
Yeah. And the question is can he?
Right. We have so many Swiss Army knife players that we should be able to run a lot of different schemes to see what works best for this team, not just force fucking 3-point shots.
Well, you can always force
fucking 3-point shots. Well, that's what we do, and we're not good at it. Or forcing lob passes to Dern because we know we can jump over everybody. Like, teams know that already.
Well, those are the game plans. You run X amount of plays, and you're gonna.
But if it's not there, though,
if it's not there, then it's not there. And some people just they don't want to pass up their opportunity for their shot, or maybe the shot clock's down. There's so many metrics to compare these things that I don't get too bogged down in some of them. I watch the energy on the floor. Like that's a big factor for me.
Right.
That's kind of how you can see that Killian has more confidence. It's just you can see the energy on the floor with him. If you look at the stats, you would not necessarily see that. You might still be impressed by some of the numbers, but you wouldn't have seen, how he affected the game and the hands in the shot or the hands in the face shot.
Right, tipping the ball, passes, and all that other stuff.
Yeah, So I'm not concerned about it. At the end of the day, I just want to see some. I just want to be competitive. I don't want to worry about losing to bad teams or winning against good teams.
Yeah, we really can be. We're at the point now where we got to see development.
Yeah. Eventually,
that's it. And on the coach's behalf too, he needs to develop on how to run these kids. And I don't see it. That's why I always come back to Casey. Like I said from the very beginning of this podcast, the last one, I don't put any fault on this team. It's young.
Right.
This is how it's going to be. It's
it's
all in the coaching right now.
A lot of history here, and I think when you have as many local, I shouldn't say local, so former players who are still tied to the organization, and come and they mentor and tutor some of these guys in their own right. They have a presence, and the whatever, the going to work Pistons will show up at a game and they'll make a big kind of spectacle about it. But it's like they really do support them. And, you can, like, Rip has been quoted saying, like, this place gave him a chance. And, like, this is like a family. Like, those guys they're all like brothers. There is no, nobody left out. There's no bad blood between any of them. And it's just, that those guys are having an effect somehow on the team, hopefully driving their hunger for success rather than hunger for development, but hunger for success. And man, same with the Lions. The overhype, and I'm guilty of it, dude.
Yeah,
I'll overhype it by just getting excited that we got Ivy and Duran in the draft, and my head's like, all of a sudden you want to see all those lobs, but those guys got to grow up in a league built for absolute men. Mm-hmm. Duran's the only one that was drafted a man. Ivy's going to have to develop some of those blast through the lane and crafty moves and how not to get injured because you're silent.
Speaking of Duran, man, kid's going to be good, man.
Ask him to work on something, and by God.
Just wait until he learns defensive positioning and boxing out. What is he going to do on the defensive end? Like, it's
Andre
insane.
Who?
It's insane to me what he can possibly do.
The mentality of a man, too.
Yeah, he has a man body already at 18. I mean, in 5 years, we're going to be talking about Dwight Howard, maybe plus.
Right. I mean, we have no clue what his offensive game will look like when he's polished, but we know his turnaround jumper looks like there could be a future.
There could be, as long as he doesn't airball it like he did the other day.
Keep taking him, man. That's the only way you're going to keep gauging him.
Yeah, that's the only way you're going to get better. Just keep taking them, and it's a work in progress, especially when you're an 18-year-old kid that's never been asked to shoot the ball.
So, going back to the season, not overreacting about a certain number of wins or, how long it takes us to get there. If we do a lot of losing the first 2 weeks, I'm not going to be.
Oh, we might too. Our schedule's not pretty the first month.
Well, I mean, game 1 versus Orlando.
That's probably our easiest game.
Before I get into that, though, like, is 30 wins, is under 30 wins unacceptable?
Yes, absolutely. Just going back to what I said earlier, you have 6 first-round picks the last 3 years. You're not a 30-win team anymore if you drafted correctly. This would fall on Weaver and the coaching. Mm-hmm. Weaver has to get some of this blame too, and no matter how much we like him, we got to call a spade at some point. Sorry. Right. It's just what it comes down to. We have 6 first-round picks. We need to be better than a 30-win team.
Facts.
But that's what it comes down to.
As we've always said, it's going to be a few years before these guys truly develop into that. And I'm not overreacting about what happens this year because this might be like we tried to reset year 1 of this rebuild instead of the Sadiq year to the Cade year because Cade is our ultimate leader now. So we tried to reset the rebuild to last year. So now getting these 2 other guys, which it's not just Cade getting good now, it's the team developing in its own way, which is a whole extra thing rather than just Cade developing on his own and now saying, okay, now for the future, maybe we can attract some free agents. I'm not even concerned about free agents. I want this team right here in 4 years to still be intact. Mm-hmm. I want like the Kansas City Royals with Billy Butler and Eric Hosmer and Lorenzo Cain and all of those, with the guy at the outfield who won all those Gold Gloves. I can't remember his name, white dude. Whatever. But anyways, there's like 7 dudes on that team that were all drafted together, and they kept them together for so long. And then they're like year 8 through 10 and 11, they were one of the best teams in the league, and then they won a World Series.
Yeah.
I'm
they
won, right? They didn't just go to a World Series?
No, they won it.
Okay.
I don't disagree. I think they're the last Central team to win the World Series. But anyways.
Yikes.
I'm for keeping these guys together and then just, bringing on expiring contracts and whatnot for next year so we have a lot of cap room to play with in 2 years.
That's all we have is choices, isn't it?
Yeah. So I'm not opposed to that. But like I said, at the same time, we have 6 top 20 picks in the last 3 years. We need to we should be falling into 30 wins with 6 top 20 picks in the last 3 years.
That's true. And no matter what you do, there is just not a chemistry there. You can try to find it and look for it, and it just ain't there.
Right. So
shouldn't be so hard to find it.
Like I said, I'm way more patient with the team because they are young. Holy shit, they're young.
Right.
I put more of it on the coaching. That's just what I do, and I think I think we're better than 30 wins. We're definitely better than 30 wins.
It seems like we are. I feel like the team will get better a lot throughout the course of the year. So it would. I don't see like a majority of those wins coming in the first half of the season. I see them coming more after the first half. But
yes,
I'm not going to go. Like I said, I'm not going to overreact about it. I'm not overreacting about the preseason. I still love our draft pick. I still love where our team's at. I don't mind Dwayne Casey being here. Like, I appreciated him last year when we weren't winning. And just because things haven't really changed, I'm not going to suddenly be a different person and expect things differently because I trust my past self in that situation.
I still think shortcomings of Casey's in-game coaching are still apparent and aren't going to go away.
No, I mean, how old is he?
He's old.
Yeah, he's who he is.
He's older.
He is who he is. He is who we thought he was. They are who we thought they were. And we let him, and we're not letting him off the hook.
Yeah, he needs to be held accountable.
Yeah, and I mean, I'm not going to sit back and say Weaver needs to be held accountable. His job is to create flexibility and bring in talent. The coach's job is to arrange that talent and produce wins. And I understand that relationship. And the only, like I said this earlier, the only question I have about Weaver is, do you have what it takes to get rid of your close friend that you started this journey with? That
Yeah.
That.
But he's not even Troy's guy, though. He was here. He was retained. When Weaver came in.
That's true. I feel like he became Troy's guy in a way.
For sure. I mean, like I said,
the team's
like
guy.
I've said, like what everybody says. Casey is a good man. You know what I mean? He's not going to do anything to tarnish anything he touches.
Right.
So I can totally understand how Troy Weaver likes him a lot. I mean, everybody around the league likes him a lot.
So Jaden Ivey's defense has actually looked pretty good, eh?
Yeah, I'm pleasantly surprised. I thought he was going to kind of struggle because he wasn't really a good defender in college. He was just a decent defender, if you will. But man, he's really showing. The last game he didn't really show much. He's playing against a good backcourt.
Right.
But man, against the Thunder, he played really good defense.
Remember what Dwayne Casey said?
I was surprised.
I think it was actually when Troy Weaver drafted him and they called him on the phone. You remember what he said?
I do not.
Are you ready to play some defense?
Oh,
I don't. Right. I don't
remember
know.
that.
Yeah, it was kind of cryptic in the way like you didn't know if he was saying like, "Hey, your defense needs work," or like, "Hey, we're Detroit. We play defense here." Like that's our motto. So I don't really know, but either way, it seemed like he kind of like figured out what he was doing over the offseason.
I mean, he has the athleticism and the body type to be a good defender. So I don't see any reason why he can't be a good defender.
Well, he can't be a liability.
No.
That's why.
Would I like him
Donovan
just to
Mitchell.
be an average defender? Sure. I'm totally good with that.
Like, would you rather him be a John Morant style player where he's not necessarily a liability, but he's kind of a liability, but he's going to get you 30 and it's going to look good. He's going to look good doing it.
Well, Ja can get abused because he's not really big.
Right.
Whereas Jada has size. And he has length. I mean, Ja has length too. Ja has good length, and he's a freak athlete. But
right, he's gonna get
Jaden's a more equipped defender than Ja, in my opinion.
Okay, so I want to do a little. I don't know. I guess I don't want to call it cliche, but I want to. Who is your starting five right now? Not, the Kevin Durant from 6 years ago. If you don't think Kevin Durant's going to be one of the top 5 players this year, then don't put him there.
Right.
But
you mean just do the NBA?
Yeah, like off the top of your head. Like I haven't even really considered it.
The top of my head?
Yeah. Who's the starting top 5? How about we make it 2 guards, 2 forwards, a center. So you can pick 2 power forwards or 2 small forwards or 2 whatever guards. Just call it 2 guards, 2 forwards, and a center.
Okay, then in that case, I would go Steph and Luka in my front court.
Okay.
Or my back court, sorry.
Yeah, because that was essentially why I did that, because those 2 were my picks.
My forwards, definitely got to go Kevin Durant and Giannis.
Solid.
My center, definitely Jokic.
Because, I don't know, with Giannis, he sort of is 4/5.
Yeah, I mean, he can
In
play
my
next
head,
he would be able to play next to Jokic easily.
Because I would rather have...
It would be amazing to watch.
This is, I don't know, and this shows how unbiased I can be. I have Luka and Steph, 1 and 2, whatever, the 2 guards, but I also have LeBron and Kevin Durant at the 3 and 4, and Giannis at the 5. Like that. Giannis is all in a game like this. Giannis can run the floor. He could, play defense with the best of them in the league. He's got the size. He's got the strength to guard any of those big guys down low. And I think with Kevin Durant and LeBron, I mean that'd be a hard 3 right there to deal with.
LeBron, in my opinion, is not. I mean, he's still one of the top shooting guard, power forwards in the league. Or shooting guard, small forward, power forward in the league.
Right. Who played point guard the last 2 years?
Right, they can play point guard for sure. He's not a point guard.
Right, but
his
best numbers were as a point guard that year.
Sure, but I mean, how well did that team do?
Yeah, good point.
Anyways, so going back to my statement about LeBron, he's not one of the top. He's not the elite anymore. He's declining. His numbers may stay differently, but that's just the product of the team he plays for and the type of treatment he gets.
Mm-hmm.
Still a very good player.
I would almost put Tatum and Durant in that forward position because I think
Tatum's turnover machine.
But on a starting 5 like that, he wouldn't even need to be.
I just like the playmaking ability and shooting of Jokic at the center. It's a problem. And he's a pretty decent defender. Right. And then you add a defensive player of the year and MVP as well, and Giannis next to him.
Yeah.
Christ. And then you have Kevin Durant, he's a sure money sniper. You know what I mean?
For sure.
And then you have ultimate playmaker, giant guard in Luka. And then the greatest 3-point shooter of all time playing point guard that's able to handle the ball and pass.
And honestly, I wish I had we did more research on this because maybe next week we will do a different one where we're kind of naming guys that aren't the obvious names, where we try to give more burn to the guys that are up and coming, like Tatum, instead of discounting Tatum and players
Luka's
that are emerging,
for sure.
Ja Morant, who is going to be with the numbers this year, because whatever after maybe a month through the season we can look at who are the top 5 people we said versus who are the actual top 5 players playing right now.
Yeah.
And shit, it could be Darius Garland for all the hell I know.
Right.
I mean, he's going to have weapons to do it with.
Oh, yeah. He's going to have some tools around him to make things happen.
It wouldn't surprise me if out of all the players they have, that he is their best player.
He's going to be the glue guy. Because Donovan Mitchell definitely can't be that.
Right, well, with Evan Mobley and Jared Allen.
Well, you got your front.
They got a squad, dude, and they're going to win games. They figured out how to do it.
Yeah, they're going to win games. When you can't score in the paint, you're going to win games.
I absolutely hate saying that.
Or when you don't allow the other team to score in the paint,
they're in our division. Games. I don't want them to be good.
No, but I mean, looking at it non-biasly, I mean,
Jared Allen and Evan Mobley, man,
that's a scary front court.
Yeah, I mean, I'm looking at Stewart
not necessarily
and Duren.
scoring, but just defense. You're not scoring shit down low. You're gonna. You better bring a lunch when you play those guys.
Yeah, and honestly, that's one of those matchups I'm looking forward to. Eventually, because that's a division matchup, and if you plan to be good for years, and so do they, you're both young teams. You might as well develop that rivalry right now.
Right. Start
going hard at each other.
Yeah, and it's going to be for a while too if they keep their cores together.
Well, I mean, I was watching. I think it was The Last Dance, because I love The Last Dance, and even though Michael Jordan had a huge part in that, he still gave the Pistons their burn in that documentary where he explained how dominant we were at that point in time. For him, we were one. Right. Public enemy number 1 for him.
Right. He was the hill.
Yep.
We were the hill. Our team was the
hill.
So
the way that they kind of went into it and explained it, I can't remember who. Yeah, and I think it was John Sally who was talking about it. When there was a game where somebody had gotten extra pissed and there was an article that said something about those bad boys. And so when they started reading the articles, that's when they relished in it, and that's when they started developing that identity, and that's when they started winning.
Yeah, they're like, screw it. I mean, we're gonna play into that narrative then.
Right,
you expect us to do it, we're gonna do it then.
And that's when they started winning.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know what I'm saying? So as soon as they got their identity, that's when they started winning. So I think there's something to that. I don't want to play too much into the philosophical role because obviously we could get into the chemistry basis of things and how. Who knows why some combinations work and why they don't?
Right. I mean, the problem is I don't I had to see consistency out of these guys shooting. If these guys cannot shoot, we're going to have major issues. And things are going to have to be blown up again if you can't find shooters. Because Sadiq should be performing.
You don't blow it up after this year, though.
Well, you don't blow it up, but you might move somebody that we might not want moved. That's the business.
Yeah, the hard choices.
We need shooting. We're going to move somebody to get some shooting. We really need to. I mean, we got to see how we look with Alec Burke. That's going to help our shooting immensely. Like I said, Bojan isn't going to be Bojan of last night.
It seems like for every player that we lose, we do have other players that we think are good. It's not like 4 years ago when we said the guys on this bench are worthless.
Right.
We have talent and potential at every position, and recognizing that about that team is why we even do this podcast, because we're excited as hell about it.
Right, but with that, we are starting to see the floor is pretty low.
Yeah, right.
That's the thing.
It's
we
depressing.
do have a high ceiling, but the floor is quite low. There's a drop off there compared to other teams and their floors that are rebuilding right now, because we are predicated on hitting that shot. And if we're not hitting the shot, we have issues. Like I said, especially with Casey running the show here.
Mm-hmm. Like, it wouldn't surprise me for at the end of this year, Jaden Ivey to be our best player. Like, Cade, for what he is, our leader, the guy who can do everything, the guy who keeps us balanced, the level head in a tough situation, the guy who makes the right pass, the clutch guy. But Ivey might very simply average more points per game than anybody does, to a point where it's not even a question. Like, he's your number one option.
Rip was our leading scorer.
He's the guy.
He was not our leader.
He's exactly, but exactly my point. And that's the role that I think Detroit can kind of, like, in any other city, maybe that wouldn't work out, or with any other combination of players. But for some reason here, it might be unique enough for Jaden Ivey to be like, hey, I'm the best player on the team, and that is your leader over there.
Right.
That is why I'm the best player in the league, is because I play next to Cade Cunningham. That might be such a, it might be one of the better ones. It might not be. We might have to figure out. The hard decision might be, do we go with Cade or do we go with Jaden Ivey?
Right. It's going to be really hard to give this team a good grade until I see 25, 30 games out of them. And then we'll really know what we have, barring injuries, because injuries are a real thing with this team. We have guys that can't stay healthy. I think Stewart's the only one that's really a mainstay, Stewart and Bay. They're the only ones that really stay healthy.
Yep, but I mean, you need those guys. They're not.
Correct.
They're not necessarily. Not every player can be that.
No. Every player's banged up after the first week. You're never 100% healthy, just like football. I mean, we hear it through all sports.
Right.
You're never 100% again until the off season. So,
I wanted to do this thing where we, call it Name That Player. But yeah, so I got a list of names here, and so does Pinky. And we're going to go through and try to stump each other. But I didn't try to get too confusing. I tried to pick guys that we would know who they are, but you might struggle to remember.
Well, I picked a couple all-time guys, too, or a couple past players, or just one past player. I'm sorry.
But I tried to stay away from players that were either severely unknown or players like JaVale McGee, who every other year he's at a different place, and it's hard to remember who the hell signed him this year. Like Andre Drummond, who gives a shit where you are?
Right. Chicago, by the way.
Chicago. Right. I knew that.
Yeah.
Okay, so my first question is Ivica Zubac. Zubac.
Washington.
The Clippers.
Christ.
Yeah. Zubac. He's got, I think he's like Serbian. He's got dark hair, like shaved, but he's got like facial hair.
Yeah.
Zubac. All right, you go.
Dante DiVincenzo.
He just got traded, I believe, to the Golden State Warriors.
He signed with the Golden State Warriors. He was traded to Sacramento last year.
Golden State Warriors, final answer. Okay. Maxi Kleber. It looks like Kleber.
Right. Man, where is he?
10.
Dallas.
Yeah. Los Dallas. El Petisa Maverico.
Delicio.
All right, give me another one.
Seth Curry.
Ooh. Brooklyn.
Yes, traded.
Traded. Yep, last year. Gary Trent Jr.
I can see his face in my face right now.
Not to be confused with Larry Nance Jr.
Right.
What color is the jersey that you're seeing?
Blue.
Wrong.
Right. So
It's red. And it is the Toronto Raptors.
Z Raptors.
All right, what do you got? Give me one.
Let's see here. Yeah. We'll go with.
Oh, you didn't write down 4 you're popping off the top of the head?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Why not?
I just, because I don't know. I'm not always
we'll
prepared.
we'll go Buddy Hield.
Indiana Pacers.
Yeah, that was easy.
Jesus. All right, Will Barton.
Will Barton? Who cares about that guy?
Dude, he was the second best player on his team last year.
Yeah.
Because of injuries.
I don't know. I'm horrible at this.
Take a stab, dude. Just take a guess. 1 out of 28 or 1 out of 30 chances.
Percentages are high, right? We'll go Will Barton play for
Western Conference.
Plays for I know he's out there. Denver.
You got it, baby. See?
Had to think about it for a second.
Gotta have more confidence.
I got Windows 95 going on, man.
You got Windows 95? Man, remember when that shit came out? It was like,
This is awesome.
Compared
you
to
had
the
that
old
stupid
Windows.
skiing game.
oh my God.
It's ridiculous.
Dude, it was the intro to the future. I remember being so blown away. All right, so so we got the game 1 is the Orlando Magic are coming into town
Wednesday.
Wednesday. Pistons are favored on FanDuel. Pistons are favored by 4.5.
I don't know what the hell they're seeing.
Well, they're playing the Magic, and
Yeah.
they had the first pick. They were the number 1 pick. They weren't good.
Correct.
There's a lot more to love about Detroit, but I mean, my pick is Orlando will probably win the game. I just want a close game. Like that's what I expect. I expect a close game, regardless of who wins.
Pistons showed me nothing. I see Magic winning. 'Cause I didn't see any kind of progression through this preseason. All the bad stuff from every game is on every single team stat from every game.
Right?
All the bad stuff is the same. So I see Orlando winning the game. Maybe not a blowout. Probably might be close. It could be a little different energy to start the regular season. But I seriously think that Magic's going to win.
They're a plus 160. Magic are. So,
Yeah, I might make a bet on that.
Yeah, that's not a terrible bet.
Yeah.
Especially if you parlayed it with something else. You might
Right.
get a healthy payout for $5 or something.
Yeah, absolutely.
But I mean, that's just by what we know because we pay too much attention to the teams.
Well, I know Paolo's been playing pretty good down there. So
But also, I think I'm setting myself up for expect the worst and hope for the best.
yeah,
I don't want to be upset in any scenario, so I'm just gonna expect a close game or hope for one for crying out loud. Don't get blown out by Orlando. But honestly, I think the game's gonna come down to really, like Paolo's gonna be their main playmaker, I would assume,
yeah.
and Cade will be our main playmaker.
No, it'd be Cole Anthony. It'll be their point guard.
You think so?
Yeah, probably.
You don't think they're gonna start running their offense through Paolo?
I mean, they might.
Bring him in on that.
They're probably going to feed him and see what opens up with the ball in his hands because he's a decent playmaker. He oversees everybody. He's a man body already.
Right.
And he seems to make the right decisions.
Well,
So-
I mean, they'll run different sets, obviously, but
Well, absolutely. I
if
mean,
you see
but I
him
don't,
go if you see him go to the elbow, you're gonna be like, oh, this is the set they're running.
I don't see him working a lot out at the perimeter. I see most of his work in the mid range and down on the block, passing the ball down low, seeing what he sees open
Jokic
up.
light,
Yeah.
maybe not without the 3-point shot. Without the 3-point shot,
Well, he has the shot. He has a 3-point shot. But I don't see him basically utilizing it unless it's wide open or a specific play written out for him.
right? Well, then without the consistency
Right.
that Jokic delivers on that,
Right. But, I mean, he's going to be different than what Giannis is. Different kind of player.
right? Well, okay, so Bagley's out for 3 to 4 weeks.
Yeah. Yep, unfortunately.
They just announced on Wednesday, so they had to do all the tests they possibly could, and they figured out 3 to 4 weeks. He apparently slipped on a wet spot on the court.
Yeah, it was a non-contact injury.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That sucks.
Yeah.
When it's not even like the actual physical game itself.
Yeah.
But I mean, Hope that he gets better. Does that cause for concern for depth? I mean, he was like our main
Well,
offense. I should
yeah,
say.
he is our main
Out of
front
4 and
court
5
offense. You know, Isaiah shooting the three is a nice surprise. We saw it coming, but that he's making them.
Right.
That's kind of cool. But yeah, having Bagley out for 3 to 4 weeks is definitely going to show, especially in the first part of the season because it's tough.
For sure.
And we could really use his offense.
Well, I mean, Stewart's going to be a lock to start, and he's going to have an opportunity to show off his 3-point shot. I mean,
he's going to have to. Ball handling skills, passing ability.
And
We saw a little bit of passing from Isaiah this preseason, so I like seeing that as well.
I hope so, yeah. So I've always said that he's, as long as he can do everything like Draymond Green, you know, that's not a hard person to emulate yourself to be.
Yeah, Dre played that style of game his whole career, though, from Saginaw to Michigan State to to the pros now. So,
right, you're gonna have Stewart to just changing
his game because he's a bully player.
But I mean, you're already really doing that by asking him to play the 4.
Yeah, and he is. He's evolving his game, and we've seen it. But back to the point, Marvin Bagley being out is going to hurt our offense.
Yeah, it will exactly, and we're gonna have to get points somewhere down there. Who's gonna get it?
It's going to have to be.
They're going to be Kelly O.
Who the hell knows?
Who the hell knows?
I'm interested to see what happens.
It's going to be. It might be easy to guard us.
Yeah, I think a lot of our stuff's going to come on putbacks.
We might run smaller lineups.
We have to get better at offensive rebounding. That's how we're going to score down low. We have no playmakers for down low.
Running smaller lineups might be how you answer that.
But still, I mean, who are you going to run down there? Bojan and Sadiq?
Or Livers, yeah. No,
and Livers?
Yeah.
I mean, you're still at a disadvantage because a lot of these 4s out in the league are bigger than they are.
Well, I mean, that's why you make sure that Duren and Noel are split in time equally. And I mean, Stewart, obviously, you mix in there however you mix him in. He still gets his 28 to 36 minutes a game.
Yeah, Stewart's going to play a lot of center.
But I think, you need some sort of defensive presence in there if you're going to go smaller lineup. And with Duren being damn near 7 foot, man, I mean, you start him week 1.
I want to.
I want to also.
I want to start him. Just throw him out there. Let him do his thing.
Yeah, I mean, if sink or swim, bro. I mean, I think he would relish the challenge.
Well, yeah, and like I've been saying, I mean, you as well, for what we're asking of our centers, Duren can come in and do that right now. It's not a mystery what he can do.
No, it is not. Every time you think he can't do something, he works on it and then has 14 rebounds, and everybody's like, you jump right from the bottom to the top on this guy. I mean, there is no...
His body positioning on defense and putting a body on guys when a shot goes up, his numbers are going to do nothing but get better. How to position himself outside of the arc to make a play at the ball or draw a charge, that's going to be crucial, and he's going to have to do that.
Right.
Catching lobs, he's going to. I mean, I want to see him in a lot more PNR than what we've seen in the preseason, because a lot of it was just kind of like a quick shadow screen and then a dash to the hoop, and he's guarded by 3 guys, and Killian's or Kay's trying to put it up to him, and he's double and triple guarded. Like what the hell can you do? Because everything collapses instead of flattening out after the pick, we're turning in, so causing defensive to collapse before the roll guy can even get to the hoop. So there's just simple things like that has to be adjusted.
And honestly, at the end of the day, I think they will. They think that's what the chemistry and the playing together, and they both are so hungry. Like Dwayne Casey had said at one point, we have to limit the information we give them because they're so spongy, and we want them to work on some of those things rather than just understand everything. They need to physically go out there and work on those things, and we want them to focus on certain things. So, don't feed them too much information. But I mean, shit, if you're going to give Duren, hey, you need to learn how to rebound better.
Right.
This is how you're going to do it. We're going to have you working with this guy. And then he comes out the next game and has 14 rebounds.
Right. If we can
don't limit his information. I
think
that was a bad call.
I think also we start hitting shots, and then the spacing is going to open up, so it's going to help a lot as well.
Right.
For Duren to flourish. Same with Ivy, for that matter. I mean, once the spacing happens, if we start hitting shots,
for sure,
you're going to see a team pretty decent. We're going to be a competitive team.
Well, I mean, we'll see. Everybody has the talent to do exactly what they're supposed to do.
That's the headlines going into game 1 is shooting and interior defense, to me. Those are the 2 things that have to be improved if we want a chance to win.
And I think both of those things come with experience.
Reps, yeah, for sure.
Which is why you will get better along the year. Which is why I'm not upset to say that we might lose the Orlando game, because we're still sort of figuring out And they might play a more simple brand of basketball.
Yeah, I mean, we can't really give him a fair shake until 25, 30 games into the season.
Right. I mean, if Cole Anthony is destroying us, then you have to bring Killian in for that matchup. If Jaden, I mean, however you have to do it, I just hope to see Dwayne Casey making those adjustments rather than just living
Franz,
or dying.
Franz is going to be really good this year.
Yeah, he's a matchup problem.
Yeah, he's going to be really good this year.
Okay, so to close out the show, we always like to read some of the posts and comments from Detroit Pistons Central. Shout out to my boy Elda and everybody out there. So currently, I like Stu's venture into the three-point shooting, but back up, playa, this was just a confidence builder. I don't want you taking them things all game long. Which I don't
disagree. I mean, he shouldn't.
And he won't, because like you said, he's not going to become a different player.
I mean, I'm not mad if he's jacking up 3 or 4 a game.
Right.
If they're open shots, take them.
Yep. This guy says, hey, Pistons fans, it's either be patient with this young team or root for another team, and the last part is not an option for me.
Well, man, I hate those kind of posts. I mean, I get it. I'm frustrated. You know what I mean? So I may look like a hater at times or whatever, and I also think other people are haters at times, but I never think, hey, man, go root for another team. This is your team. You're passionate about it. Fan is short for fanatic, so there's going to be irrationality everywhere you look.
Which is why we always challenge ourselves to be more unbiased and more forgiving, give people the benefit of the doubt.
Right.
You know, recognize that there's factors and variables that we can't even consider.
Right. The first part of his post, though, I agree with. I mean, the team's young.
Well, just like everybody, there's half right and half wrong.
Right.
So Cade Cunningham has to dig into that little bag of his scoring repertoire that he has and start making some baskets, facilitating his secondary. Well, my friend, you have not watched his career so far. Right. Because that does not seem like that's what's going to happen until we're down.
But we agree. We've talked about it.
Right. When we're down by 15 or 20 and he's like, I got to get us back into this, then that's when you'll see him kick the juice on. And that's, you know, if his teammates are clicking, then that's a dream for him.
Right.
So I'm not going to get on him about his style.
Yeah. I mean, me neither, really. I mean, he's going to do what he does.
Right. So this is one thing in common every game, points in the paint. Also why we are shooting 52 three-pointers when teams that are beating us are shooting half that. And he's talking about the Memphis game specifically because...
Yeah, but it's been a trend all preseason. So I totally agree with him.
They took 32 three-pointers, and they were up the majority of the game by a whole lot.
Yep.
The rest
because they're dominant. They scored 70 points in the paint.
So this next one is by a guy who's usually a rational thinker. Let's see how that works out. My thoughts are the same. This will either be another lottery team, 25 to 30 wins, or a 30 to 35 wins. Missing the play-ins, right outside the lottery team. Anything less is a failure. Anything more is an overachievement. See, in your mind, 25 to 30 wins is a failure.
Yep.
In his mind, anything less than 25 is a failure. And I'm more on that train.
I'm at 30.
Like between 25 and 30 is still on par for the young players that we have.
I just keep going back to what I keep saying.
We have two starters.
We have a number 1 pick.
If Duren starts,
5 other
two
top
rookies.
20 picks.
If we start Duren, we're going to have 2 rookies starting.
Cool.
Right, but that's where you have to temper your expectations. If you want that to work, you got to give these guys a full year.
Just because they're starting doesn't mean they're going to get a lot of minutes.
Right.
Ivy's going to, but I'm not necessarily saying Duren because once Bagley comes back, we have depth in the front court to where Duren can be protected or cushioned, you know.
So Imani Bates gets a second chance felony charges to be dropped. Eastern Michigan suspension lifted.
Good for him.
Yep.
Good for him.
Exactly.
I mean, because I read the story and you're allowed to possess a gun inside your car. You know, in Michigan.
Yeah, I was gonna say we're not.
So I mean,
remember where we are.
Good for him. I hope he comes back and he bounces back and he just goes ham at Eastern and makes it to the league. Yep. I wish him nothing but the best.
I'm really happy to hear about it. I mean, nobody wants to hear like the potential be so wasted in a guy who was so like locally revered and nationally revered, and we love to claim our guys.
Yeah.
A lot of people in the history of Michigan to claim, and we love claiming all of them. Even Kid Rock and Ted Nugent, man.
For some folks.
Yeah, I mean, I like Ted.
And
Nugent.
I get it. You know?
I like Ted Nugent's music. And not his politics. And I do not like Kid Rock's music nor his politics, but I can still appreciate the things that he does that I don't even know about.
Right.
He probably, the uplifting and whatever. Okay, so this guy says, Ja had 31 points on 21 attempts. One guy has to get us 25 points or better and he's not going to do it in under 20 attempts per game. It has to be an emphasis for this guy to get the rock and score. How hasn't the coaching staff identified and made that known to that guy? Well, to be fair, buddy, going to work Pistons, nobody even averaged 20 points a game. So
Right.
they don't have to.
Yeah.
And it's not necessarily the brand of basketball that is selfless. If you're going to say one guy has to get you 25, and when we already know when we talked about the first option, it's if Sadiq is shooting well, he will be the first option every night.
Well, if we're not having a guy over 25, we need two guys over 20. That's for sure. On decent efficiency,
But if Killian is stepping up, man, that 20 points could easily come off the bench.
Yeah, I mean, I don't disagree, but he'd have to play minutes because Killian's attacking, but he's not. I don't see him as a 20-point scorer.
He'll earn minutes because of his defense, I think.
Right? Yeah, he will.
And we're not going to be blowing nobody out, I don't think.
No.
So this guy says 38.8% from three preseason play, and it's not like he was jacking bad shots. He was taking what was given. Versus Memphis, 4 for 10. Versus OKC, 0 for 0. Pelicans, 2 for 5. And versus the Knicks, 1 for 3. That's probably what you're going to see over the course of the season.
And I'm okay with that. 38% from your big guy.
Yep.
It's pretty good shooting.
4 for 10 versus Memphis, but that was because we were down.
Right, but I'm okay with that. I mean, it's 40%. I mean, if you're knocking down 40% of your shots.
Yeah. And OKC, he didn't even take one.
Right.
So maybe he didn't play. Did he play?
No, he played.
All right. So preseason rebound leaders in the league, Jalen Duren and Rudy Gobert are tied for first at 12. So your rookie 18-year-old kid, not just rookie 18-year-old, but the youngest player in the league.
Does it without position.
Averaged
boxing out.
The most tied for first in the whole preseason in the league.
That's just his length and athletic ability getting to the ball and his quick jump. That's the thing with Duren. He has a super fast, quick jump.
And not like I like rubbing it in people's faces, but, maybe sending him to the G League was a bad idea. Maybe that was...
Yeah, that's a bad take.
Yeah, that was a bad take for sure.
That I never shared.
No, yeah.
No
I probably commented heavily on it, though.
Right, yeah, ridiculous.
Man, that's terrible. Well, so hopefully everything goes well in game one, and we'll have a lot of great things to talk about.
Yeah, we'll see.
Yep, and we'll come back and hit you with it and bring you up some up-to-date knowledge and...
Or just our opinions.
Or just, well, you're definitely going to get that. Maybe some more entertainment next time. All right, you guys. Love you. Bye.
All right, take it easy.